Yeah,
good?
can y'all hear me all right?
Talk a little bit louder.
Can y'all hear me?
A little bit
Shut up.
We have a
hear
new,
you over there.
ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Got Mr. Kenny Dice in for episode number 2. And we got a new DJ over there. Can't see him because he has the reputable Bottomland camouflage.
Hey, what's the word? I'm running the boards. I'm on the 1s and 2s.
That's right.
We got the Bottomland turtle box, the Bottomland shirt.
Yeah.
That's it. I think that's
All
about
about some mossy oak today.
Yep, always. Mr. Kenny, welcome back.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the last one, and I had a good time doing it. I like this format, being comfortably sitting here and just talking hunting and fishing. We do that a lot.
Yeah. What about when you have a young kid telling you to pull your mic up just a little bit more?
Okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
he
better?
said
He'll tell me about that later.
he said I ain't doing these
I
anymore.
told y'all last
said
time
that city slicker.
that my hearing's not good. So anyway, I'm losing my hearing. I wear hearing aids when I go elk hunting.
Yeah.
And I wear them in church to where I can hear the preacher. But when I'm at home and my wife is fussing at me, I take them out.
Just need to be glad to hear that.
Yeah,
Ross.
yeah.
Well, based off the last podcast, which is absolutely incredible, you asked how many downloads it had a while ago, and we were all shocked to go and look at that number. It's pretty outstanding. But based off the last podcast, you probably don't have to wear hearing aids a whole lot out there elk hunting as close as you get them.
Oh, well, I worked out today and I'm shooting a lot, and it can't get here quick enough.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get out of this heat. It's supposed to be, I think Wednesday it's going to be 111 heat index. Wow. So I'm ready to go, man. I'm shooting pretty good actually right now, and of course these boys has helped me with my equipment, and it's all working really good.
We got one left.
That's
One
right.
soldier at the store to hook up, and that'll be the end.
Oh yeah, it'll get there. Before we get too far, and this is kind of off the wall from hunting and fishing, but I want to share some concern with you guys, and it may be just me, but I just feel like our country is so separated right now with all the folks and with all the politics and everything, and I just want to say that I think we should really be in prayer for our country. And I'm not an overly religious guy. I don't go around saying that a lot, but I'm quite a bit concerned about it. And I just thought I would say that to the start of this thing. And I really have my moments with my Lord out in the woods and on the water. That's where I have my special moments. But anyway.
Well, no, that's good you said that. That was well said, too. That needed to be said.
Yeah. And
There's a lot of people that have the same thoughts too, though. I know all of us here, and even back behind the cameras, everybody here is going to think the same thing, and most people listening is going to agree.
And I tell you, if there are people, especially in the hunting, that some people don't want us to hunt, I mean, so, I hopefully we'll get the right people in there and let our officials do their job. That's part of our heritage. I mean, that means a lot to me to be able to do that. And I don't take it for granted. I'm thankful for every day I have to go hunting and fishing, and gonna do some tomorrow if I even though it's burning up hot.
It is.
I went to. I'll tell you a little quick story. I went to and visited the hot shot from Crowville, the legend, Mr. Jimmy Griffin, last week, and we caught a bunch of crappie. We went crappie fishing. I actually spent the night with him. I was really impressed with two things, and he's going to get a kick out of this. One is he cooks a mean pot roast. That's what we had for supper, and he put that on early that morning, but had a great meal. But I was really impressed with the deer that he had on his wall. He has killed some monsters, and in public land, on public land. He and I used to hunt together, and we would walk Tensaw, and we'd ride a bike 9 miles and get off and walk 3 miles, and maybe not even see a deer that day. Right. But a good person, good hard hunter and fisherman. So if you guys ever get a chance to meet him or talk to him, he probably should be sitting here doing this where I'm at now.
He'd have a good time. But I'm going to tell you a quick story. He was in the store today. And he was telling us a story about, I said, look, how far you and Dice go back? He said, man, in the early to mid 80s. I said, well, did y'all shoot archery back when we had two Paul Bowman and that kind? He said, no. He said, I met him hunting at Tensaw. And he went through the deal about how he was hunting this big white horn, wide 10-point, and he shot him. Deer runs off. Well, then he walked up on Dice in a deer stand out there.
Sucker was cutting me off. He was on the end of the ridge down there.
He said,
I'd already seen the deer twice. I was trying to kill him too.
He said, hey, what you doing? He said, well, I just killed a deer. I'm tracking him up. He said, it's not that wide horn 10-point. He said, yep. He said,
it was. I said, where does this guy come from, you know? But anyway, from then on, we've been best of friends, yep. Yeah.
I tell you, he's such a good guy,
Great guy to know. Yeah. He really is.
Well, you said riding your bikes. You probably didn't have Rambo e-bikes back then,
No,
did you?
they were. Actually, the first time I went into Tensaw, I was on a big red 3-wheeler. And then we went to the 4-wheelers, and still no cab stuff. It's just a long, cold ride. And a lot of times that old trail would be real muddy, and you'd have to be covered in mud. And, I mean, go to get your bow case off, and your hand would be all, you know, just grab that, just everything you had on you would be muddy. It was an ordeal.
Yeah, get off that 4-wheeler and say, man, this is fun, boy.
We'd all walk back out in the middle of the day, though, and have lunch and discuss what we saw. And
he said this was before the GPS. Y'all wasn't even using GPS.
Look,
you just used the compass.
If you found good deer sign, if you were walking Tensaw, we had a compass, but if you found good deer sign in Tensaw, you had to start flagging your way out.
Yeah,
you know, to get back to that spot. That's what I said the other day when y'all asked me what the most innovative thing was it has to be a GPS, because all you have to do now is hit mark and you can just keep trucking. You know? Yeah. And
as long as the batteries don't die, you're good to go.
Oh, right. I keep a set of them with me. And don't forget to recalibrate that thing. If you have to change batteries, if your batteries go down, you have to, when you put new batteries in that thing, you have to recalibrate it. So,
is it a Garmin?
That's a Garmin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got the mapping one, so I can see, you know, on the map right exactly where I'm at and everything. Yeah.
Well, I know you sent us notes. Me and Michael looked at them again a while ago of things you wanted to go over, and I know fishing was at the top of that list. But before,
that's just how I wrote them down.
Oh, that's just how you wrote them down.
So we're on hunting. We can stay on hunting.
Yeah, if that's cool with y'all. Yeah. Well, I said bikes. You said bikes a while ago. You meant 3-wheeler or 4-wheeler is what you meant.
Right. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But bicycle, what are your thoughts on people hunting public land on the e-bikes, on the electric bikes?
Well, I mean, you know, that's an old fat rubber tire. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's quiet. You know, it's and that's what's happened is those deer are so keen on danger. With a 4-wheeler, I've had does under me before, and somebody be coming down the trail, and they'll stop everything they're doing, and they are just so paused on that bike coming by, and they'll sit there and watch it, and it better not stop. And a lot of times they leave anyway, so they pick up so much on little things like that, and that's why the e-bikes and the electric bikes, that's why they're here now, I think.
Now, on the public land, can you take those bikes now? Is it legal?
You got to stay on a maintained right-of-way, road or ATV trail or walking trail.
Okay. I know you just can't go through the woods, but
just can't take off through the woods.
Up until this year, you could at Darbone.
Yeah.
You could ride anywhere on Darbone Refuge.
Okay.
But
Darbone is a federal refuge.
It is, but they changed that this year. You have to stay on maintained roads.
I did not know. That's good information.
They're even getting, and I can't speak on all the details because I haven't looked into it that much. But you know, like the e-bikes that y'all have, you'll have a 500 watt, a 750 or 1,000 or 1,500. You know, go on up from there. They're also rated in classes, like class 1, 2, and 3, depending on power, speed, size. These people, I promise someone watching will correct
Yeah, I
me.
think
and
it's
they know way more.
750 is the max.
Okay.
That's what it used to be.
You have a class limit that you cannot go over 750. It sounds like 750 watts on public ground like that. And I don't really get that a ton. I don't understand that, but that's what they say.
Well, I mean, nobody's out there speed demon it up on a muddy
No, you
four-wheeler
can't.
trail. I mean, you're not doing that.
Well, there's trails over there. That bike won't go very far.
Of the mud.
You start getting some
I
Delta
don't
ground
own
over
one,
there.
so
Yeah.
I've never been on one before. I don't know.
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Kenny, it's fun, and you can crash on that in a hurry.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
No, we walked. I mean, when we got off that bike, four-wheeler or three-wheeler, when we got off of that, it was walking. We had a stand on our back, and we were headed in there. And there ain't no telling how far we were going. That brings me to another little subject I want to touch on that I had in mind. Seems like, and I'll just tell you a little quick story. A lot of the hunters that hunt Tensas and some of the public land, they are young people that maybe even can't even afford a lease or a real good, club or something like that. So they go hunt the public land. And I did it mainly for a challenge, to try to kill a big deer on public land. But there's a lot of young people that save their money. They have a family and they have 2 or 3 children and they're trying to make ends meet and they get to go hunting on the weekend. And that guy go and save his money and buy him a tree stand. And I think the law is that, especially for Tensas, is that you can't leave it on a tree. You can take it off, and that way it doesn't claim a spot. But it just amazes me that the theft that's going on, about getting these people. Please, people, it's other hunters. I mean, it's your buddy. It's other hunters that's doing that. So please, I've walked by 100 tree stands in the woods before. Don't get that boy stand. Please don't do that.
That's right.
And
That's a good point, too.
anyway, but he's going to come back in there and his stand is gone, and he totally messed that boy's hunt up. So I just want to mention that, and anyway, it need to be said.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
I'm not fussing at anybody. I'm just saying that we need to think about what we're doing when we're out there. Actually help the guy. I mean, if you got a person with a deer down back there, hey, man, let me help you get that deer out. These are our fellow hunters.
But, for the most part, it's that way. People don't mind help. I mean,
No,
it's
you're right.
It's
There's
those
a few. There's a
few
few.
that
Right. That's right.
give us all a bad
Yeah,
name.
exactly.
Louisiana Hunter has the best name, especially, in the Midwest. They love for Louisiana people to come up there anyway.
Nobody from Kansas up there.
I
No
can
one knows that I'm from Louisiana. I've been up there forever. They think I'm from Florida or
I can
Texas.
tell you this. I have been fortunate enough to go all over the country hunting and fishing, a lot of hunting and a lot of out-of-state stuff. And I will put Louisiana people, I'm talking about the state of Louisiana, they will find them, catch them, and kill them quicker than anybody I've ever seen. This is the most competitive place I've ever seen in my life. I mean, these guys are good.
Yeah, some salty attitudes come with that too, though. Talking about, speaking right on, taking somebody's deer stand right out of the tree. Oh, shoot, they ain't hunting. I ain't letting them hunt right here near me, and they'll take their stand down.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that mentality.
Hey, look, and I know, Mr. Kenny, what he's talking about. We have way more people against us than for us, and we need to kind of hang together. I mean,
Absolutely. Well, if the guy's got to stand there, in the first place, you need to just go on and get on out of there, because if you both end up hunting the same deer or the same sign, you're just going to mess each other up, So I see the stand, I say, hey, I'm gone, man. I'm going to hunt me a place somewhere else. That's not good for either one of us.
Right.
So anyway, I think while we're on deer hunting, there's a bunch of people want to know. I've got a little old system.
A little secret.
I got a little I got a little
Double secret.
that I've had in my pocket for a long time.
Uh-oh.
And this is what a lot of people have asked me about. And I said, no, I can't tell you that right now. You're going to have to look at the podcast.
And if the mics go out, we may not want it all out. So
It's
we may have some glitches or something.
it's a good chance it will.
Doc and I, my old hunting partner, we discovered this in Arkansas one time. It kind of fell into it accidentally. And once we got to talking with each other and put it together, we started killing some nice deer, real nice deer. And I was actually on a hunt in Kansas, and there was a sports writer there. And there was a big deer that was whooping everybody. They would see him cross the road at night. Now, this is before cell cameras. Okay, so now we have the option of putting a camera on a big scrape or some deer sign and seeing what kind of deer it is coming through there. Then we didn't have that. So we found some sign. We would hunt it maybe all day and come back the next morning and find that the deer had been there. Okay, you'd clean the scrape back out. And so, no doubt about it, nocturnal deer. So anyway, back to Kansas, they'd hunted this deer several times. And the boys that had the ground, I was staying there with them. And they were actually outfitters. And I saw the right conditions coming. And I said, you mind if I go try that deer? I said, he told me where, the sign was. I went in there and found it, a big scrape under classic, little bush hanging down, big as this rug here. Several trails coming into it. It was a prime looking place. You'd think you'd kill one there in a minute. But anyway, so I put my stand up, and I'll tell you about all that. But anyway, I put my stand up, conditions come through, and I killed a deer the next morning. And it was a big 10-point. His beams were big as my arm. Scored 160. And anyway, this sports writer said, man, he said, you got to tell me what you did to kill that deer. How'd you kill that deer? Well, we got to talking about it, and he was impressed enough that he did an article in North American Whitetail. So that came out. That's been a long time ago. That article is still in North American Whitetail. So we're going to revisit it. So here's the deal, okay? You got a deer, and he's coming in there every night on you, and you got trail cam pictures of it. You can see what he looks like. But what happens is that deer is doing that every night, and he's old enough and been pressured enough, he just knows not to move in the daylight. So what you got to have is you got to have a weather system coming through, and you got to have moisture, okay? And we have a lot of those through the latter part of October, which is that prime time. They're starting to scrape, make scrapes, and they're starting to move, but they're moving mainly at night. So what you do is you go and scout your area, whether it be public land or your own land, and find the best sign that you can find. And what you're classically looking for is that major scrape, okay? Take you a lock on. I like to use a lock on because I can get it up out of the way as there's nothing hanging down, or pick a tree that you can go in there with a climber and climb, okay, and get out of there, okay? And I try to set that stand for a northwest wind because that's where the front's going to be coming from. When you have a front come through, we're going to get northwest winds and rain. The precipitation is real important because what it does when it rains and that storm is coming through, it pins that deer down. It breaks his cycle. So instead of him going through there at night, he's laying up. The deer knows that the water is washing his scent out in the scrape, okay? So he's in his bed and the storm's coming through, and another reason they stay locked down like that through a storm is their senses are not good. They can't smell and get wind and do all the stuff that they use to stay alive. So what you want to do is get your rain suit on, watch your weather line, and get on out there and ease up into that stand, okay, while it's still raining. And when that rain comes on through and it starts to break, that deer gets up out of his bed, whatever time of the day. He gets up out of his bed, he is coming to refresh that scrape because he knows there's no scent there. And you will kill him. I guarantee you. And if you get to thinking about it, it's just nobody's ever put all those little pieces together. Well, everybody knows that after a good front comes through, that's a great time to hunt because the weather cools down and it's probably sunny and a lot cooler, and you got a good steady northwest wind. But nobody has put it together about the scrape and all the stuff that.
But you can do that. You go through the woods after all that comes through, and then you get down out of your deer stand and look, and every one of those scrapes are open back up.
You got to. The only downside of it is if you're working a job and that weather system happens to hit, is getting away to go do it, to be there at the right time. You gotta watch your weather. It may be in the middle of the week, it may be whenever, but you've got to be there right when that thing blows through there and stop.
Yeah. As soon as the rain's over.
As soon as the rain's over, I'll be sitting in the stand with it raining, knowing it's fixing to come on through. And then when I see it starting to break, I go ahead and get out of that rain jacket because it's going to be noisy. Yeah. And I go ahead and get ready because I know he's coming. Yeah.
Maybe if we don't show up early one morning, they'll probably know. They're probably up in that tree when that front comes through.
So there you go.
Or I leave a little early.
I'm telling you, leave a little early.
A couple hours before that storm.
We'll shut that thing down.
Right.
I'm telling you, fellas, that works.
That's awesome.
I have done it a bunch of times, kill a big deer like that.
What other secrets you got? Ain't no sense stopping there.
Well, I still like to rattle and grunt and do all that, and I think here locally we don't have that near the success because of the number of does, and it's a lot more competitive in Kansas and Iowa and places like that where the buck-doe ratio is much closer together. And I'm telling you, in Kansas, you can bang those horns together and it's magic. I've called in 6 bucks in the morning.
Wow.
Doing that, yeah. And I do the same thing a lot of other people do. I try to stay, no matter what, I try to stay with the wind. I don't care. You can't, when you sit in your truck seat, it's over with. I don't care. You can help yourself some by keeping your clothes clean and spraying and doing all that, but I think they're still going to smell you if you get, you just got to work with the wind.
I don't think any of us foolproof. The nose jammer, been using that. I've seen, that stuff smells like you went into a vanilla factory or Victoria's Secret. It's kind of what it smells like.
Right. He uses it works.
Dude, I'll brush my teeth with it, son. I'm telling you, I use it, and I've seen it only up in the Midwest, because around here when you hunt, you're hunting bottoms, and a lot of times it's even stuff I hunt, bow hunting, is a little bit thicker. You can't see as far, but up there in Kansas, you can see a long ways, and you can see a deer. I've only seen it on does though. A doe, she'll cross you down there. She'll stick her nose up. She'll never blow. Now she may not come in, but she's not going to blow. And I've never been busted using it before, but they definitely still didn't come in, but they didn't let the whole dang county know, that old Nolan was up there.
Yeah,
with some vanilla secret on.
I tell you, it works. I don't particularly use it because it's pretty strong.
It is.
And
what's the name of that?
It's called Nose Jammer. It's in a red can.
Oh yeah. I've used it before.
Smells just like vanilla.
What you're talking about.
So
I've used it elk hunting.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, is that right?
I think there's a picture of a buck on the can, but people use it elk hunting too. It's the same.
Yeah.
But we were up in Kansas a few weeks ago, and Corey, he went and he sprayed it on all of his feeders. Everywhere we went, stands, feeders, cameras, he sprayed it on everything. And I said, I just didn't know why he was doing it. He said, I don't want them when they smell it on me, because they're going to smell it. It smells. It may, quote unquote, jam their nose or whatever. I don't know. But whatever it does, it has a scent to it. He said, I don't want them smelling on me to be the first time that they smell it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I said, shoot, I need to take my old sweaty clothes off and stick them in a deer feeder or zip tie them around limbs or something. Go ahead and get them used to it.
Are you drawing every year? I've noticed a lot of people not drawing now. I mean, it's getting to where, every other year or so. I didn't draw for the first time last year.
Did you get drawn this year?
I got drawn this year.
Yeah.
I have a tag this year.
So
if you have 1 point right now, I think you're in, but I know people that didn't have a point that drew. But
I know
it's getting harder.
several people. This coming up, this is the second year in a row that they didn't get drawn.
Yeah.
Michael McVeigh, he got drawn. He had 2 points. So this would, he had 2 points, and this was his third year to get apply, and he got drawn. But
I think if you're in Iowa in zone 5 and 6, it takes 5 points.
mm-hmm.
It's unreal. Man, that place, I used to go hunt there every year, and
Really?
You don't do that no more.
Shoot, you want to go buy a deer tag there from somebody, it costs as much as a dang elk tag, doesn't it?
It does. It's all, and you can buy, you can buy a point. That's what I've been doing, is buying a point and waiting 4 years or 5 and then trying to, but I'm running out of time on them points.
Now, is it the same premise as it is in New Mexico? It's a unit, or is it a unit tag?
I don't
You
think
gotta
that
apply for a certain area.
right. They don't have
Yeah.
statewide tags, elk tags in New Mexico, do they? Is there any state that has elk?
Not that I know of. 1 year that I hunted Iowa, I had a governor's tag. Then I could hunt anywhere, and I happened to meet and talk to the guy that was over that program, and I told him that I would, back then I had a television show a long time ago, but anyway, I told him that I could possibly get him some publication or some articles written and stuff on the deer there, and I had a governor's tag. And it was a funny thing. I was walking out with a tree stand on my back one day, and I saw a couple of game wardens. They were riding the road, and they saw me coming out, and so they stopped. And you're supposed to have a habitat stamp on the back of that thing. Well, I had not gone to Walmart and got my habitat stamp, but I had a governor's tag. And boy, these guys, they said, "Well, you got your license?" I said, "Yes, sir, I got them right here." And I handed it to him. He turned it over and he looked on the back. He said, "Well, you don't have your habitat stamp on here." He said, "But you know what? Don't worry about that. You'll be just fine where you're at right there." He didn't know he just knew that was a special tag, and that
He wasn't about to risk his job for that.
he told me, he said, "You just go get it whenever you want to." And
You should have told him, like, "Well, young man, I will make sure. Give me your name and badge number.
was funny,
I'm gonna
though.
make sure to pass that
It
up
was
the
funny.
line," and wink at him.
Yeah, he wasn't going. He wasn't going. No, we didn't have no problem.
Did you go get that tag?
I did. I
Attaboy.
did go get
There
it.
you go.
I told him I would, and I went on and got it. Yeah. That's an unbelievable state for big deer. They standing in corn year round.
Look,
I
after a
am
while,
so
we're going
amazed.
to talk about that TV show too.
Yeah.
a
Kansas is
little
pretty
later.
awesome too, though.
Yeah.
I've had some great luck in Kansas, and Missouri. Missouri's a great state up there.
It's 2 buck tags in Missouri, isn't it?
You can
over-the-counter
kill.
tags?
No, I think you can kill one in rifle season and one in bow season.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can kill a buck and a doe with your bow. And I've got some ground to hunt there. I'll hunt there too this year. I'm gonna hunt Missouri and Kansas.
Yeah. What part of Kansas do you go hunt?
I'm right outside of Anthony,
Okay.
Kansas.
That's south central Kansas.
Where?
South
Yeah,
central.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Is that
It's not but about 30 miles across the line from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They know where that line's at.
Oklahoma is the state that's really come on also.
Yeah, yeah. And Kentucky and some of those. There's some of those sleepers out there that they're starting to kill some big ones in. But for me this year, it's going to be Missouri and Kansas, and I'm excited. That's 2 great hunts. I killed a big deer in Missouri last year on this ground, and but I didn't have a tag for Kansas last year. I just came on back home. Anyway, it's all ahead of us, boys.
Yeah,
Be here before we know it.
Oh yeah.
it will.
Hey.
What's your first hunt? Y'all two. Well, y'all have anything lined up?
Yeah.
Union Parish is my first one.
October the 1st is on a Tuesday this year. Off day.
Oh, it is your off day.
Richard wants to know if he can swap.
No. I'm a company man. I'll be working.
I may
tell
hunt
you
that
one
morning
thing.
and show up
It
to
may
work.
be later in October before I get to go. But that's all right.
Don't. I'm gonna tell you one more time. That area over there around that Mississippi River, where we live, you can kill a giant over there. I'm talking about Tensaw and some of that stuff over there.
I miss one.
It's work.
Or
It's
two.
more. It's a lot more walking, a lot of work. But you can have a giant walk under you over there. I mean,
there's-
big as they grow anywhere.
Within an hour and a half, 2 hours of where we're sitting, there's hundreds of thousands of acres
Yeah.
of public land.
A public.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That is one thing that we have. It may be over hunted, and it may be every dang Honda 300 or Honda Foreman in the country sitting right there waiting on time to walk in or whatever. But we have a lot of ground that we can hunt.
lot
We
of
have access
That's
to.
true. It's
Arkansas.
our public ground. That's
Yeah.
right.
Sure do.
And look, and from say the Red River all the way to the Mississippi River, there may be 4 different ruts right there that if somebody wanted to follow the rut, you could. All the way to January.
Yeah.
I had that conversation with I don't even remember who it was the other day. They were talking about how excited they were to hunt the rut. I said, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but just me, and I was referring to Kansas. That's what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I
know
would.
what you're gonna say.
I either want to go early, mid-September, when mosquitoes and little prairie rattlers are out everywhere I got to watch out for, or I want to go the 2nd to 3rd week of December. Those are the 2 absolute best times. If you want to go and you want to predict a good deer coming,
You just pattern them.
yeah.
You can't pattern that rut. But I'm going to tell you something. Watching a buck run a doe
It's exciting.
and him
Well,
and
it's
my,
fun.
now I kind of like seeing that too.
Let me tell you, if I want to
Hearing
watch
them
it bad
coming
enough,
before you see 'em.
I'll watch it on YouTube if I want to see it bad enough. It's hard to kill them son guns with a bow.
Well,
You
it's
see,
when,
boys, I'm going to tell you, I'd lot rather sit out there and witness that and then get off my stand, not kill something to say. And that was a
Yeah,
that was a
that was a good
hunt
hunt
right
there.
there.
Yeah,
That was
and that is exciting.
it is exciting.
But my point of that is that
You wanna
that
kill him.
That 2nd to 3rd week of December, man.
Yeah, it's a feed deal,
Yeah.
and what you're really looking for is 0 degree. I mean, bad cold.
Yep.
Put them.
Because they have no choice. They're
Right.
they're going to hit those food plots or supplemental feed or whatever. They're going to hit it. They have to.
Another problem you have with that hunting, that December hunt, is that they're busted up a lot.
Yeah.
You'll have some great buck that'll be broke off on one side. So you gotta consider that too. They fight and it's on up there.
They really are aggressive.
Yeah.
They're very aggressive up there.
I've killed some before, and they'd have to be all scarred up, and everything. But man, it's a fine place to hunt. The outfitter, actually, I use an outfitter's ground. I put the stand where I want to put it, but at the same time, he's guiding people, and he'll tell you. He told us just like you said, like the pattern you're on. He said I hate the rut.
Yeah.
He said, for killing a big deer, he said that later food pattern is a better hunt.
And I don't hate the rut. I enjoyed it. November 10th, 2 years ago, I saw some of the most intense activity you've ever witnessed in your life, or I have anyways. I mean, it is incredible, or it was incredible. But that's another thing, the November 10th, you hear a lot of people talk about Midwest hunting and November 10th. I don't know what it is.
I see LSU license plates everywhere up there that time of year.
I don't know what it is special about that date. I don't know if that's when everybody's vacation days roll over and that's when they can use them again or what, but everybody is in the woods November 10th.
We
and
went
around there.
into a bar one night to watch a LSU game.
Where were you at, Mr. Kenny?
Pardon?
Where were you?
We went in there to watch the TV.
Oh, there you go.
And eat supper.
Okay.
Okay,
They had good
we wasn't
wings,
in
he said.
there. I'm not much of a bar person anymore, but but anyway, we went in there to watch a LSU game, and it happened to be when they were playing Alabama, and we won that game. We won that game right in overtime, and there must have been 25 people in there screaming for LSU, and they were up there hunting. They were all in there. We were all in there doing the same thing, you know. So, yeah, there's a lot of Louisiana people in Kansas at that time of the year.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
It's a fun place.
It is. It is. If you can draw a tag.
If you can draw a tag.
Getting harder every year.
Yeah.
So when do y'all go to Big Rack? When's the first time? I know we're gonna swap over into fishing here directly. I know we are, but before
It's November.
we're not Big
I'm
Rack.
not sure what the date is.
Cottonwood. Sorry.
Yeah. He's going to go to Big Rack.
Oh, he's
Probably
that
October the
Tuesday.
1st.
Yeah. Tuesday morning.
But that's first Saturday in November.
Okay.
We'll work. We'll at the store and then leave and
Yeah.
go hunt for a few
Slade,
days.
you cooking them fillets? Dude, them son
Let
of
me tell you
guns.
something. We might be without a lot of things.
Yeah.
But that
Food.
first night, that filet that's what everybody looks forward
That's
to.
right.
That and them little cocaine cookies or whatever they are.
And crack cookies.
It's crack cookies. Let me tell you something.
Look, you talking about that Hoyt, how sweet it is? It ain't as good as them cocaine, them crack cookies. Lord have mercy.
What are those?
I don't know.
They call it lace cookie as well.
Lace
Well,
cookies.
that's right.
I like cookies.
I mean,
I've
good.
never had a drug in my life, but I can tell you that's got to be pretty close.
they are fine.
You can't have just one of those.
Where do you get those at?
Cottonwood.
Oh,
These,
wow.
these ladies make them over
I got
there.
to go to Cottonwood to get one of those
Yeah.
cookies.
Okay,
Well, y'all
absolutely.
gonna
They
have-
won't even tell us the recipe.
Most
No,
of
that
Wow.
they
it a
make them
secret.
while we're gone. 'Cause I said, are y'all finna make those cookies?
You could
No,
pack
sir.
a few back to Monroe, you know, and we'll
Yeah,
see
I'll-
about it.
Now, they
If I
won't
can get
make
a
it
hold
to
of one of them
Monroe.
containers that's coming. You.
Ryan, you ever brought any back from Cottonwood to Monroe before? No. they're
He
so,
ate them.
yeah, they're so good.
Oh, they're awesome. They're good.
They are really, really good. Well, look, we're talking about stuff that's sweet, talking about the cookies. I left it. I forgot it at my house, the bow. But we've talked about it multiple
I
times.
didn't know where he was
I
headed.
thought
there
talking
for
about
a
that
minute.
camera I left at the store.
Well, we did. Yeah, he did leave a camera at the store. It's all right though. We got it. We're fixed up. We're doing a bow giveaway. Did we tell you about this last time?
No.
Okay, we've talked about it a little bit. It's even they've seen it on some of the other podcasts, but we haven't given too many details on it all. But to kind of open it up, if that's cool with y'all, it should be sitting right there in front of the turtle box. It is a 2024 Hoyt Alpha X30.
Oh, wow.
Have you shot it yet?
No,
that new Hoyt?
and I don't own the newest one. I've got the 3 years prior to that.
Well, let me tell you, you give me your name and email address, and I will put you in.
Wrong hand.
Do what? Oh,
the wrong
he's
hand.
Yeah, he's
left-handed.
right. He's
You
left-handed.
just turn it upside down, you'll be all right.
You can shoot a Hoyt upside down and probably shoot just as well.
Yeah. You can also dry fire it. And it won't-
Oh, it's right-handed. Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
May already killed a deer or three.
Maybe I can trade it in
three or
for
four.
or
It's,
another one.
it is a sweet. It's an incredible bow. I had the opportunity to get it for a little while this past season. They sent it and we got it all tuned up and had some fun and shot some long distance stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, I've shot a Matthews bow. Just I don't know why. Just like everybody else, you find something you like and you stick with it.
They make good product.
Yeah, may or may not be the best. In my case, I thought it was, and it's still absolutely incredible now. Never had any desire to shoot a Hoyt. Never in my life. Tried them, like that Matthews better. Until that sorry son gun right there, he told me to shoot it, and I did. And let me tell you something, that dude's bad to the bone.
Oh,
it is. Oh, it's so slick.
It's got such a smooth draw cycle.
it is wild.
Golly.
It really does feel great. But I mean, it's a what are those bows? 1350
Well,
retail,
the one you have, yeah.
something like that.
1339,
Yeah,
something like that.
So
And it's got good speed, too. I mean, the speed's there along with that cycle, that draw cycle.
But Nolan rigged it up right. You know, you got the Hamsky limb driven on there. You've got a
It's the Trinity. It's
Trinity, that's
the
right.
good one. It's the highest end.
And
They're all
I've
good.
never. We've sold them, but I never used one until 2 years ago, and now I'm strictly
Yep.
Hamsky. I really enjoy that. And sight, what sight do you
It's
have?
the Axel landslide 3-pin.
Yeah,
And so it has the pick. It has the pick rail, the Picatinny rail. So everything on this bow is really streamlined. You know, the bows keep getting better, but the accessories, if you almost feel like it's surpassing the bows and their technology. It's just getting so good. But it's really slim, really tight fitting. But the XL landslide 3-pin is what's on the front, but it's adjustable. And so, like I know you don't like an adjustable sight, And I only want an adjustable sight for tack events or even just shooting long range. I really like that. But this one, it has 3 pins, and it's not the vertical post, the normal traditional housing.
horizontal.
Yeah, the horizontal coming out the side. And has a 20, 30, and 40 is what I have it set at. And then you can dial it. I mean, I've shot it up to 110.
Dial it down with the bottom pin.
That's right.
You can do that. I have mine set for the top and bottom.
Okay.
So it has 2 indicators that you can adjust, and I have the top and the bottom. And that way, if I'm hunting somewhere and I know, like, all right, I'm not getting a shot, it's too thick, I can't shoot anything less than 30, I'm gonna have it 30. My second pin will be low 50s, that kind of stuff. But it's got the front bar, so it's got a Hoyt stabilizer on the front, Hoyt stabilizer with the V bar on the back, the 4-arrow quiver, the little tight fit quiver, and is that it?
What's that package worth?
It's over $2,500 before tax.
Golly.
Yeah.
We
Wow,
did
y'all gonna
not
give that away?
We are.
Wow.
No strings attached. Literally the only thing you have to do to enter to win is your name and your email address. That's it.
Okay.
And there will be an option for a phone number, but it's not required. But you have to put your first, last name,
Boy,
and email address.
need to get in on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Somebody's gonna win it.
It'll
We're
be
going to try to reach as many folks as we can and kind of get it going to our website.
Sure.
Now where is it? Is this going to be on all social media pages or website?
So you can check out our Instagram. It'll be in the bio. When this goes live, that will be live. The giveaway will be live. And it'll have all the details on there, the end date and how to enter and everything, and the details of the bow and stuff as well. But yeah, the Instagram, SpottedDogSportingGoods.com. It'll be in the bio, so it'll be a link up under the Spotted Dog name. You can click. It'll take you straight there. And then Facebook, we'll post it there as well, and we'll also post on Instagram, YouTube. So this video, also, if you're listening to this podcast, I need to say, I should have said this earlier. I cannot believe I haven't said this before. If you're listening to me talk right now on just a podcast platform, some people, look, we have several thousand downloads when we first drop these episodes that they're only listening to it. They're not watching it on YouTube. So this is a video format. We have all the cameras, everything you can think. I like to think it's a high-end production we have going on, and it's fun to watch. And so if you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that, come check it out, the YouTube video, SpottedDogSportingGoods.com, or you can just simply type in on YouTube, Spotted Dog Podcast, and there will be a whole slew of episodes that you can find. And every episode that we have, every episode but one is on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the bow giveaway is going to be great. All you got to do is enter your name, email address, and then if you live out of state, as many people are going to enter this thing, it's likely someone from out of state is going to win it. You know, I say likely, it's a chance. If it is, we're going to ship it to them. And so you get everything on this but the arrows.
Wow. Cool deal.
Yep, it's gonna be awesome. But it's a slick bow.
What color is it?
Oh, Raptor. It's the Origin Raptor camo. So Jocko Willink, big Army guy, jiu-jitsu guy, he has that company. It's all made in America stuff. And the name of the company is Origin.
That's a Navy SEAL guy.
Yeah, Navy SEAL. Yeah, not Army. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Jocko.
Nothing against the Army
nothing
guy.
against that.
But
Yeah,
His
sorry.
name is Nolan.
That's right.
Yeah, almost got to do jiu-jitsu with him here Monday. Jay Stone.
If you probably say that again, you probably have your chance.
Yeah, he'll want to choke me out.
He'll tie you up in a knot.
But awesome guy,
also-
awesome company.
Who else did I just see that is going to the Origin?
Old Dudley.
Yeah, our partner Dudley's in it,
Yeah, old John Dudley.
and that's a good fit. Boy, that's a good fit.
Well, those cats, they're tight. They elk hunt. Him, Joe Rogan, that Cam Haynes, they're all the time doing stuff together anyways on those hunts. So yeah, they're
That's a pretty famous person, isn't it?
yeah.
pretty sharp guy too.
Yeah, and he's an awesome dude too. Really, really, really good guy.
Yeah.
I'm ready for him to announce
meet
the bow company he's gonna go for. It's gonna be pretty slick. I feel like it's
Probably not
football.
high country.
Probably not high country, no.
But it's a great bow. It's gonna be awesome.
Probably shouldn't have said that, but that's all right.
It's all good. Well, that's what I wanted to get in. I want to talk about the bow giveaway. So we got that out. There will be a link in the description of this as well, so you can check it out.
Probably mention it one more time before
Maybe.
this is over.
Maybe.
We teased it a little bit over the weekend on social media.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So, you got anything else deer hunting?
I've given away my top secret there, so I better.
That's some good
There's a
ones.
couple.
Though.
We got an elk
Just
secret.
hunt
We got a
hard.
whitetail secret.
No, we got
right.
tons of elk secrets.
All right, now
There's a big map floating around.
here we go.
of
Here's the other.
Tinsol
Here's
that-
the other
Oh,
secret.
and my little book.
Yeah, that little book.
I was hoping he's going to bring it.
that map. Yeah.
You'll get to see that if you draw next year.
Oh, that map. Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about another
Well, I was
map.
talking about the big one that you had a Tinsol in
had
the
a-
office.
I had
Oh,
one
that
in my
map.
office with marks on it and everything.
X's all over the place.
Yeah,
Well, those deer have already been killed.
Yeah.
that's been a while back. It
Yeah,
has.
that's right.
But their offsprings are there somewhere.
I bet they are.
Hopefully.
So we're gonna get into fishing. This is gonna be a not even 2-part, but 2 subject matter on this. We got the deer hunting. We've been talking about that, and we want to hear some fishing stuff. I know you got some great stories you
Now-
talked about.
Before we get too far in it, first of all, we've got to tell everybody your background, where you're from, and then where you're from, and then in the lake that you were raised.
Okay. Well, back a long time ago, okay, like 67, 68, when we got out of school in the summer, we would go down to the Sabine River, get on a sandbar, and we would camp out down there for 2 or 3 weeks and just, have old cut-off shorts on, run trot lines, and just be bums on the river. And we had a live well, a box that we would put our fish in, catfish or whatever we caught. And some of our folks would come down there periodically and check on us and get all of our fish and take them back, and they'd have big fish fry, and we just kept doing what we were doing. Well, that was every summer, and we looked forward to that. I mean, So all of a sudden, the government is coming in there, and they're going to each house that's in the river bottom, and they're paying them for their land and saying them they've got to get out. We're fixing to dam this Sabine River up, and we're going to have a big lake here.
Now, how big was that? How big was the Sabine River back then? I mean, how big a
If
river?
you compared it to like the Ouachita River, it was probably, I would say it was probably 2/3 the size of the Ouachita.
Shoot, it's a big river then.
Well, yeah, but they really, really underestimated the Sabine River, okay? But getting back to it, all these people that live there, they had to accept whatever the government was going to give them for their land, and they had to relocate. They had to move.
Was it fair? Was it
And
a fair
I'm
price?
talking about cemeteries, and I mean, that was a big deal, having to dig up all those graves and move those people
Oh, my word.
out of there, And there was a surveying crew, and this was very impressive, that was going around, and they were putting marks on trees where the water was going to come to. And while all that's going on, they got timber crews down in the river bottom cutting timber and going down through there making boat lanes, and it was just all going. Well, they were going to mess up our fishing. So a bunch of us got together and we talked about, of course we never did it, but you know how teenagers are. We talked about going down there and blowing the dam up because they were going to really mess up our fishing. We didn't have a clue what was fixing to happen.
About to go.
The fishing was fixing to explode. We didn't know it. But anyway, so these surveyor crews was going around putting the paint on the trees where the water was going to come to. And I'm telling you, that water, when that lake got full and it filled up in a spring, they projected that lake to be full in 2 years.
Really?
They did not realize the power of that Sabine River. That thing goes all the way under Interstate 20, going to Dallas. And it gathers all that water up and runs down through Logansport. And we got some good rains through the spring, and that lake was full. There is still to this day heavy equipment in the bottom of Toledo Bend that they could not get out. Big tractors and stuff, that wood haul and stuff, and all that. It's still in there.
Houses, everything, I guess.
And they built Toledo Bend, the bridge, Pendleton Bridge was built. And the old road that used to cross there and the old bridge that's underwater out there. So and that's a couple of great big bass spots is where those bridges, you put a LiveScope on that and it looks just like the day it happened,
Really?
But, and the only place really, so what happened when it filled up that quick like that, they didn't get the timber out. So you had these big giant up each creek, it would be just thickets. Now they did get the boat road, they did get somewhat boat roads cut where you could travel up the creek. But if you got 30 yards off the boat road, you were hit. You were in big pin oak timber, green timber. And really the only way to fish up in all that stuff was they had logged it a long time ago and left old logging roads in there. And our pattern was catching those bass. I didn't even think about a crappie back then. We were catching so many bass in that place. 2 to 5 pounds was just catch a lot of them. Yeah, I was there. I was there through the heyday, I know. But wherever 2 of those log roads intersected, there would be a pretty good wide open place. Those bass would pile up there. It was just unreal, just absolutely unreal. But with the relocation of all the people and the cemeteries and all of that, I was there and got to watch all that, and squirrels. So we went through the spring with it backing up and filling up, and we got into squirrel season. Well, there was islands. As the water's coming up, it's forming islands out there, humps. And that's where all the game was going. We killed squirrels till it wasn't, those squirrels would migrate to those islands, and we'd take a little old John boat and go to an island. You'd have a heck of a squirrel hunt. It's just, and ducks coming in there, it was something. It was an amazing thing. We had a landing. It backed up to some of our property, and my brothers, there's 5 of us in the family, 5 boys and a girl, and we had 20 acres in a place that the lake backed up to in Lenan Creek, and so we put in a landing there, a ramp and everything, and we sold lots and cleared those lots by hand, and my dad did quite well with that, but every day I'd go down there to help my mother open that bait stand. And Shady Lane Landing was the name of it on Lenan Creek. And I'd go down there to help her run that bait stand. And we had rental boats. My dad bought a bunch of Deercraft rental boats. But I would go down there and get one about 9 o'clock when we got things settled down. But when I was at her funeral, I could still hear her say, "You better come back here and help me run this boat, Doc." And I'd be taking off in that. I'd be hooking them up in that metal boat, and I'd stay gone all day out there in those woods and running those log roads. And it was an amazing world. And that thing, what people didn't realize is in Toledo Bend there was already a bunch of old lake beds off the Sabine River oxbows, and one of them was Blue Lake, which is famous, and 1215 run up through there. All that went underwater. But old Blue Lake was a deep oxbow, and it was already had a lot of fish in it. So when that thing came up and covered all those old lake beds and stuff where there's already water, there wasn't but, I'm telling you, that thing was an instant fish haven.
Really?
It was unbelievable. Schools of bass. I've been up at Blue Lake in like the 2nd or 3rd year, and you'd see 4, 5, 6 acres of bass, 3 to 5 pounds coming up schooling. You catch 50, 100 bass in a day, no problem. It was and it had a comeback here a few years ago. They had a drought over there, okay? And if the lake went down, you couldn't put in anywhere, and there wasn't any ramps that you could get in. And what happened, a lot of the grass and stuff grew up on that dry land, and it's kind of like a rebirth to that lake. The next year, they had over, I think, something in the neighborhood of 150 on the Sherlunker program, over 10 pounds.
Really?
those fish just. So anytime that you get a big drawdown like that and you get the growth of vegetation and it lets all those fingerlings hide, and it's just good.
Yeah.
It's just good for the lake. Yeah. But anyway, that's a little bit of history on Toledo Bend there, and thought you might enjoy
I
that.
enjoyed listening to that. Now, did they have brood ponds too?
They did a lot of stocking. One of the people that owned Mr. Twister, a carver, Glenn Carver, moved his operation over there to Toledo Town. It's now called Toledo Town. And he was very instrumental on helping Toledo Bend. As a matter of fact, he had some ties with Game and Fish.
Really?
And he's a biologist. Glenn was a biologist. And they got to where they were building little ponds, if you will, up those fingers. And what they would do is when the fingerlings got, ready, pretty good size, they'd just cut the levee and let that run into the lake. And that's how they were stocking the lake.
How about that? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Would they go and dam it back up and just do it over and over again?
Yeah, they did that several times. I mean, it was a great. And Texas, sharing it with Texas, gosh, you know what Texas does. I mean, Texas is big on there. They have probably the best fishery in the nation. I mean, they have a lot of great lakes.
Yeah.
And they take really, really good care of their fish.
Why is it that Louisiana can't seem to do that?
Man, I don't know.
But wait a minute now. Fish in Toledo Bend don't know if he's on the Texas side of Louisiana. They're just as big fish on the Louisiana side of Toledo
I ain't talking
Bend.
about just Toledo Bend.
Oh, I know you're not. I'm giving you a fit. I just thought I'd throw it out.
Yeah. I had some friends in the biology, in the fish restocking program. I know some guys that were in there, and they did a pretty good job. We used to have a big hatchery out here at Black Bay.
Right.
And, but for some reason, all that's kind of gone down. It has. I don't know that they stock. I haven't seen a restock. And they said, now I heard that they were going to restock, what's the little lake out here that the dam blew out on? Shinny. Heard they were going to have a big restocking on Shinny. And I hear that they're working on the dam. The money has been approved on Turkey Creek.
Really?
That Jimmy told me the other day that they're really, they've got $8 or $10 million to redo that whole dam and restock Turkey Creek. So that's in the future.
Another one,
so maybe it's getting better,
Maybe.
I think they stocked Darbone not too long ago.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe
that?
we're out of line. I just don't know,
That
With the fingerlet, that F1 tiger bass.
Tiger
Oh yeah,
bass,
I did the video on that for Farmerville.
Okay.
I think it was 40,000
Something like that.
F1s.
Yep.
is
they
what
got
they
some
put in.
fishermen, and they just everybody
Hand you
went up
bags of
a
fish and
went
say,
up a finger and told them go turn them
turn 'em
loose.
loose.
That's awesome.
While we're on fishing, you can't hardly talk about fishing without talking about LiveScope.
Man, that's
And
fun part of talking about fishing right there.
Oh yeah, but I've had one probably, I don't know how many years I got it from you guys, but I've looked and caught a lot of fish with LiveScope. But let me tell you what's coming around for the guys that don't have one that gripe about them. And there's a lot of people out there that don't like a LiveScope. They say that we're going to catch all the fish and everything. But I'm in constant contact with some of the boys I grew up with at Crappie Guide on Toledo Bend. And I've talked to a lot of people here that are running LiveScopes. I mean, we talk a lot. And the guides on Toledo Bend right now are pulling up to a school of, say, 400 to 500 fish in a big treetop or brush they put out. They do a lot of that. And they'll catch one or two, and the rest of those fish won't bite. And I truly believe, now Mother Nature is a fine, well-oiled machine, okay? You cannot Mother Nature will catch up to stuff. And I truly believe that the beam that it's sending out, just like the old depth finders did, it sends a signal and you get that return. And I think what Garmin has done is they have come up with a processor in the computer to turn that into what it's looking at, to the feedback, and make it a fish. But they're still having to send a signal out there. And I believe those fish are getting conditioned to that.
Yeah.
Because right now, I mean, even when I was fishing last week, you can throw on a lot of fish and put it right on them that will not bite. Okay? So just because you're looking at him and see all those fish, that don't mean you're going to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think as time goes, and some of these boys that fishing for lots of big money, these tournament boys that are fishing for $100,000, they're trying to make a living on the road, they are the best there is, okay? They can catch them. And a lot of them, when they find some fish, they're turning all that off.
Really?
They're saying that it's those fish are picking up on that, and you can't catch them.
They feel it on their lateral line. I'm
right.
assuming.
So you guys that don't have a LiveScope, just keep doing what you're doing, because I think we may be back joining you. You know, now I love mine. Don't get me wrong, and I have learned so much with LiveScope. I mean, the first time I pulled up on a big crappie, I set that thing down on there, and I'm bad about wanting to hop a jig. I mean, everybody wants to jig a jig.
Yeah.
And I threw it out there, and I got it right over that fish, and I jigged it, and that
Took
sucker,
off.
he couldn't leave there quick enough. I said, whoa, I don't want to do that again.
Yep.
So it has, but it tells you how the fish are reacting to a bait. It's taught me a lot about fishing, and I never dreamed that there would be something that I could actually see under the water. You know, see big trees under the water. And in Toledo Bend, it's been unreal. You know?
Yeah, I bet you have a heyday going and looking at that stuff out there.
Go to some of those old places I used to catch fish and see why, you know. Now, a lot of those creeks and stuff are silted in now, you know, but just to go there, and that's where they catch the bigger crappie that are coming out of Toledo Bend and places like that. They're on the old timber that fell in. That's where the bigger fish are. Okay, you can go put brush out, and all those guides over there do it. They put brush out, but the fish tend to run smaller.
Gotcha.
Okay. If you can find an old big tree way out there in the middle, man, and they're going to be big fish. They're going to be big crappie. Yeah. But and I'll tell you something else about you talking about Mother Nature and the LiveScope and how it may be hurting the fish. There are a lot of days that you cannot get out on Toledo Bend. It's just too rough. That's a big lake, and there's nothing out there now. All those trees are gone. They fell in. They're stumps. But there are a lot of days. It's a lot of days you can't fish Darbone. So Mother Nature is looking out for her own.
That's right.
Okay? So just because you're seeing the fish again, that don't mean you're going to catch them.
Well, crappie's kind of prolific anyway. I mean, that thing reproduces at a rate.
That's why we have a limit of 50. You know, it's a good. I mean, you know, they reproduce, and the biologists tell you that. I mean,
I don't want to clean 50 anything.
No.
He just gets me, you and William, Whetstone, Steve Adams, when we all went out. Richard, we had Ryan, how many fish do we have in that ice chest? It was a ton. And the same way, Richard forgot to grab the podcast camera y'all were using. He forgot to get the fish from me. Man, I cleaned fish for days. And look, I delivered them in a bag. They were frozen already, filleted.
Wow.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And they were good, by the way.
You didn't even invite me to the fish fry.
You invite me to yours.
It's funny, every crappie fisherman that you talk to, and I've talked to a lot of them, they say, well, what is it you like about it? Why do you like the crappie fish? You got a 10-foot jig pole, and that sucker hits that jig out there. It's that thump, you know? It's that, you just can't get away from that thump.
That's right.
You know?
Like electricity.
Yeah. Boom.
Can't get away from it.
No.
There's so HH rod and reels or H&H. I'm not sure.
No, HH.
Is it HH? Okay. HH rod and reels. They're actually a big rod and reel company. Really big on their rods, but they're moving to Farmerville, or may have already moved. I'm not sure.
In the old Baker Brush building out there off of.
Is that where it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, they go and make all kind of rod and reels, bass stuff and everything, but their big stuff is crappie. He fished, him and his wife, I think, Mr. Eric Howard, I think says, yeah, Eric Howard. They fish. Can't believe I remember that. I'm terrible with names.
That's pretty good.
You like that, don't you? They fished professionally for years and may still do some stuff. Well, he has a 16-foot carbon rod that I did some video stuff for him, and he gifted it to me. And a 16-foot called the Tsunami, I think's the name of it. And
where's this man at?
he's in Farmerville now. He's from Florida originally.
Okay.
He moved his family. They bought property up there in Union Parish. He's a resident.
What's the name of it?
HH Rod and Reels.
Okay.
But this one, it's a 16-foot carbon rod. I mean, it's
real light.
It's got some meat to the back end of it though. And I'm telling you, we've been out there and you'll have that thing. I mean, a light breeze, it feels like you're doing that if you don't know how to hold on to it. But once you kind of go and you learn how to fish with it, you'll never want to fish with anything else, dude. You go out there and you hold that son of a gun and it goes down. I'm talking about you can catch the fish. You feel them. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
But when you go and you pull them things and they break over and you get them in the pole, the bend and just the power, I don't know what crappie people call it in the rods, but
I think the bend and the power.
It'll torque up.
Yeah,
the backbone or whatever. When essentially you can break that fish over and get them in the boat. Man,
boat flip them.
That's right.
yeah. Oh, it's stupid.
But that,
I'd like to meet that man.
But you know,
He's a good dude.
the wind slaps on the front of that boat, and it makes a slapping racket. That longer pole gets to the
Yeah, you're
crappie.
trying to get out away from them, and we do. I use a 12-foot Sam Heaton, and what I'll do is I'll pull some line out about this far, and I've got the baits hanging right here at me, and I get within about 16 feet of them. When I get about, I'm watching my scope. When that fish is showing up at about 16, I'll go ahead and make my pitch, and I'm trying to pitch past them because it's going to pendulum them back down to him. But that's my routine, and I'm making that long pitch, and of course it's like fly reel. I'm feeding it out there, and if I'm not seeing my jig instantly, I'll just come right back in and make another pitch. You got to see your jig, and you got to stay into the wind. You know, some of these boys are using the motors in the back of their boat now. A lot of them, if you go to Mississippi, that's all they got. I mean, every one of them will have it, but. It's into the wind, and he's right. That boat slap, man, I've seen those crappie just take off. They don't like that.
You know, without that thing,
Another thing we learned, you know.
Well,
right.
you know, you'd go up up some of the fingers on Darbone, those, and maybe on the big lake too. Well, I know on the big lake, but they get to a stump that a crappie does, and I'm telling you, you just didn't know how many you were spooking because you just had little 10-foot poles. We spook a lot.
Oh well, we didn't. There's a lot we've learned.
I had no idea.
So much with that live scope,
And how many
to
fish
know that
just-
there's 500 fish down there, and you
Right,
didn't catch but 2.
Right.
You know, we just thought that was all of them.
Yeah.
You know,
or how many fish follow your bait and don't hit it?
Oh man, that stuff that'll make you sick. But you know that's a good point though. Not saying this is a case, but I've heard that before. People talking about the LiveScope, and I don't know if the beam, if they're getting weary of that or not. I'm not sure.
I thought maybe it might have something to do when you catch one because they're catching a couple, and then the rest of them are locking up. But I thought it may be something to do with a scent. Maybe that fish that's hooked is putting out some kind of
An alarm type scent.
like
Wasp
an
do
alarm
it.
type
Why
scent.
can't
Say,
crappie?
hey, this is danger. Don't do this. And there's something there though that makes the rest of those fish not bite.
Maybe, but people, and it may be the beam that's getting the fish, just throwing them off and it's making them not want to bite. But you made a good point just then. You go and you catch 2 fish and you have no idea there's 500 right there with them, but you only catch 2 without LiveScope. And so that's the thing before. It's kind of hard to say that LiveScope, the beam is scared them. Unless you go and you try to catch them and you don't, then you turn it off, then you catch them. It starts back and forth like that. I guess that'd be a good way to tell. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to tell if it scares them or not because you don't know what's there.
Yeah.
Mr. Kenny, you may need to turn that fish loose in first 2. That they'll go back down there and say, it ain't that bad. They'll turn you loose.
Well,
Then you
Michael,
catch more.
I got a little problem. I got a little problem with turning a crappie back loose.
I know it goes against
Thank
your.
you. We're glad you do.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now we used to keep the bass too.
That's right.
And it got to where, if you wanted to have people mad at you, you just tell them you kept a bass.
It's still
Especially
that way.
5 plus.
When I
yeah.
started catching crappie and found out and started cooking them, I said, I'm not particularly mad at that bass anymore.
right.
But I still fish for them. I love to fish for them. I mean, if you springtime when they're spawning, you can throw something up there and catch them, like a topwater or something. I still do that. I've got my best stuff.
Oh, it's in
And
a
I
boat with
fish
you.
Sealy every year on Toledo Bend, the Sealy tournament. And I've been lucky enough to win a place in an hour every year. But so I still do it. And I fished a lot of tournaments back in my earlier days. And I got a little quick story I'm going to tell y'all. You'll like this.
Lay it on me.
You'll like this. So we've got a bass tournament on Claiborne, okay? We're fishing kind of a series group of tournaments where they're having them on different lakes. But anyway, so me and my buddy, Mr. Keith Stokes, we're over there on Claiborne, and I had scouted it a couple of days and found some fish on a pier. So we went and hit our better spots before we went to that pier. The fish on the pier wasn't but about 2 pounds. So we already had a limit by the time we got there. But we pulled up there anyway, thinking we might get a kicker fish maybe in that group. So we pull up there and we're fishing Carolina rig and we throw it out there on the pier. Instantly, both of us go off. We catch one. Well, here comes a little fella down there. He's got a little cowboy. He got a little ball cap on, and he's got big. I never will forget. He's got big cowboy boots on, and the toes point up, and he's coming down that pier. And I said, I don't know. He's coming down. Nobody likes for you to fish their piers. I mean,
Yeah.
So he comes down there. I spoke to him. How you doing? And he didn't say nothing back. I said, well, that's not good. And we're just steady catching them, Well, he turned around and left. He comes back down there in a few minutes with a hammer. Decides he's going to work on his pier. Bang, bang, bang. And I think it made them bite better. We were just catching them, So in a few minutes, when he got tired of hammering, he left and went back up to the house. Well, here he come back with a little rod in his hand, a little bait caster. Had him a little crankbait on there. Starts throwing out there towards our boat. I told Keith, I said, just a matter of time before he throws over one of our lines. Well, directly I heard. Now we fishing with over 7 foot rods long, stiff Carolina rig, where you can really
Bow up on it.
Oh yeah. So Keith said he's got me. He's got my line. I said, when we're talking kind of like we are right now, and I said, let it get real tight, almost completely tight. And I said, I want to see you with a hook set like you've never done before. So I'm seeing keep reeling down, and I'm seeing the lines come up, and it's getting tight. And directly, boy, that rod goes off, breaks the guy, pulled him out straight like that, broke his line. Keith reels the bait in. This guy turns and is headed up that pier, and I said, it's time to go now.
Y'all, you left.
It's now time. Now's the time to go right now.
Yeah, he had enough.
Well, we laughed about that for a long time.
Fired that little fella up, and later on,
he was.
Somebody had to call the police on
He
the
was
guy.
done.
Oh,
He was
really?
done. But there's been a lot of,
a long time ago.
especially on Toledo Bend, people put brush out, and there's been a lot of bad incidents over there. Like these guides are putting out brush, and directly somebody finds it. You got a LiveScope, you're going to find brush out there, and you're sitting there on it, and the guide comes up, and he's got a party in the boat, and they start jacking back and forth, and there's been some incidences that people have been arrested, but when you put brush out, it's in the lake, and it's public fishing. Just because you put it out, it's just like a pier. You can fish anybody's pier.
Yeah.
I don't fish them that much because I just know people don't want you fishing them. And I got lots of places to go fishing. I don't have to fish that pier. But the thing to do, and my brother-in-law and I had one bad incident where a guy come up there and was cussing us and everything. And I got mad at first, and then I cooled back down, and I said, yeah, it ain't worth it. But if that happens to you and you're on a spot and you're it's open ground. This is what I'd suggest you do after looking at all that. And before you get in a confrontation with somebody, they pull up there and they're being ugly and starting to give you a good cussing or whatever, just take out your phone and start your video. And say, would you speak up a little louder to where we can hear you on this? And it'll probably make the person leave. Or once you do it and you get the front of their boat with the number,
Sure.
that game and fish can go to their house then. But there has been, I know of a couple of guides that got in a lot of trouble over something like that. And I hear about a confrontation over there all the time.
Really?
So just remember, if you're on a lake and you're there fishing and you were there first, there's nothing anybody can do about it. I mean, and showing some courtesy it goes a long way.
Yeah.
There's some things that I want to touch on about fishing that I thought about. And one of them is, a guy works all week and he's stressed out at work and with the family and everything. He's going to get a day off and get to go fishing. Well, he gets down there to the boat ramp. Maybe it's like Black Bear or some of these other places, and there's a ramp, just one single ramp. Please don't get down there and back your boat out there on the ramp and tie that ramp up and start unloading stuff out of your truck. Just pull over in the parking lot somewhere and get your straps off. We got all of us have to do that. Get your straps off, load your boat, and then when you pull up to the ramp, you're ready to drop her in there.
Yeah.
And what I do, a quick way, this is just a tip, a quick way to launch that boat and get out of everybody's way is I use a 50-foot rope with a little clip on the front of it. And what I do is don't put it on the trailer. A lot of people put them on the trailer, and when they back down, it gets tangled up in the trailer, okay? So put it in the back of your vehicle to where just every time when I hook it in, I recoil it up. And then when you launch that boat, it's going to pull out, like in the back of the truck or the back of your Suburban, whatever. It'll pull out. I pull up just a little bit, then I hop out and grab the rope, pull it off to one side, unclip my rope, throw it in the truck, and I'm out of there in just a few minutes, okay? So, and what happens, you have a whole line of people waiting on one person that takes 30 minutes to get all their stuff in the boat, okay? Another thing, you're idling out, okay, and you're in a narrow pathway, or you're up Darbone by, or whatever. How do you go by that person? You got to get by them. Don't cock that boat up at 45. You are responsible for your wake. You're responsible. The Coast Guard will tell you that you are responsible for your wake, okay? So there's two ways. If it's me, a lot of times if they're running flat out, and I'm not talking about like this, that's not running flat out. Flat out is on plane.
Yep.
I will motion them on by. Come on, right on by me. All you're going to get's a little boat slap, and he's out of your way. He's gone. The other way, which is most accepted, is to just shut the boat down 75 yards from the person and slowly idle by. Now, when they come by you, they're going to probably say, well, you're wearing them out, aren't you? Or they're going to try to get some information. That's okay. He idled by you. And then when you get on down there 50 to 75 yards, you can get it back up and go where you're going. Don't cut in front of the guy. That's one of the worst things. I mean, that gets people mad quicker than anything. It's just, if a boat is facing going down the bank and he's going that away, he's pointed that away, then you can get behind him, Or you can go way on down and give him some room, but don't just pull across in front of him. You know, the guy's already had a bad week, and now you're going to cut in front of him, or you're going to tie the ramp up, or whatever, you know, and it's dangerous. But a lot of people will cock their boat, and they think they're going slow enough. If you have any question at all, just turn and look back behind you and look at that wake. That's what's going to hit him.
Yeah.
You know?
If it's back there white capping, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Rolling. It's
Well, there was a
rolling,
person drowned in Black Bayou because two of them met. One of them was cocked at a 45, threw a guy in the back out, and he drowned him.
Really?
Yeah. I helped look for that person.
I remember that, yep.
Yep. I helped look for that person. They finally got him, you know, and they was afraid gators was going to get him or whatever, but they finally recovered him.
Really?
Glad that ain't me.
That's just a few tips, you know.
It's
You
just
know,
common sense, too.
It is. I'd prefer people run by me wide open. Just get on top of the
on the
water.
pad.
That's
and run.
a small.
But know what wide open is. Not that. It's that.
Well, and you know, and like my boat's going to run 42
Yeah.
tops.
Yeah.
But 42 is a very small wake behind me, and even you run a 75.
A lot of people, though,
very small wake.
they'll be offended even if you run a wide open
Oh,
dial.
yeah. People get pissed if you go and you run past them. A lot of times they do, but it's like, guys, it is a much smaller.
That's
6
because
inches tall.
they don't know any better.
Yeah, either that or it is aggressive though. When someone's running by you, either on the interstate or out there on Caney, if they got her cocked back 60, 70, and they just fly by you, yes, that's an aggressive move to make towards someone, even if it is their best interest.
On these
in
old
both of
timers
y'all.
that sit in these bayous and stuff, you're better off just shutting it down and
easing
going by.
by 'em.
Going by.
And that's situational
Let
stuff.
it out.
You can,
Yeah.
He's right by 'em.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doggone by you. A lot of them are out there sitting on the front end of that aluminum boat sculling. You know, it's not a,
Yeah.
you want to idle by. It may be a case-by-case thing, but
And if I see a boat with kids in it, I'm definitely slowing down. and
oh
out.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It just makes everybody's weekend. Those few tips, if you just use them, it just makes everybody have a better fishing experience, you know. Right. That's what we're all trying to do.
Well, it goes back to like the very first statement you opened this podcast with. You got a very divided country, a very divided group of hunters out in the woods, a very divided group of fishermen out there on the water. A lot of times it's easy for people to get worked up and you get mad at your fellow fishermen and hunters
well,
out
in
there.
the woods, they got a weapon too, you know.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. But if you do like the old golden rule, sounds cheesy, but just be respectful of everybody. It's so hard to do. I know it. It's
Just
very
think of
hard
how
to do.
you'd want to be treated in that same situation. So.
Yeah, just turn it around.
yeah.
So those are some things I thought of I wanted to mention on this thing, you know, after doing this for a lifetime, you know, stuff that just makes people mad. Good to touch on them.
Hey, look, let's do this before this thing winds up, whenever it does. So, Mr. Kenny, a long time ago, had a TV show, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably.
I don't know that I remember it, to be honest.
Well, it was big with the kids, with the smaller people. They all remember it. I still have grown-ups that walk up to me and say, you know, I used to watch your show.
Those kids are my age now.
Yeah, right. That's right. Same thing with my wife. She's been a pediatrician for 40 years, and we can't go anywhere without that we don't know somebody.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
know, she'll know the kids that grew up and had other kids, you know.
But that was the show. You had to be back at the house to watch Fishing with Kenny.
Outdoors with kids.
Outdoors with Kenny.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It was I enjoyed doing it. It got to be old after a while. You know, you had to have a show in by a certain time every weekend, and then they didn't have but a couple of. It was KARD, and they didn't have but a couple of. And at that time, the cameras were huge, and big old Sony cameras, you know, with a big red light on top of the deal there. And I had a guy kept going into a sporting goods store, and I'd go in there to get something, and he'd say, "Man, I wish you'd put me on there. I'd tell them how to do it and everything." I kept hearing that, I said, "I tell you what," I said, "you're on this Sunday." I said, "We're going to go do a show." So he said, "I'll be there. I'll show you how to do it." Okay. So we got there and started unloading the equipment, tripods and a big camera and batteries. It took up the whole back of the boat. And we're out there on the water, and we've launched, and this guy's he's setting all this up, and he's doing 1, 2, 3 and all this kind of, breakdown and doing a white thing. You had to do a white out. So anyway, we get it all set up, and he did the countdown, 3. And I said, okay, Bobby. I said, we're live. There's 250,000 people watching you right now. I said, turn around there and tell them how to do it. And I see he started kind of had his back to it, and he started kind of humping up, and he said, tell him to turn it off. I won't ever forget that. He said, just tell him to turn it off. He turned around and looked one time, that big old red light on top of over that lens was just shining at him. I said, really and truly he wasn't. We just was messing with him, but I got him good.
He didn't say it anymore, did he?
No, he didn't want to do that no more.
But
He said, you can have this.
But in your day, though, I mean, you got to tangle with some pretty big characters, Bill Dance and Jimmy Houston, and
yeah, it opened a lot of doors for me. I got to fish in a lot of good places. People wanted me to come and fish on their place and show, and have a show on it, and it did. It opened a lot of doors, and I met a lot of good people doing it, and it had its plus. Wasn't any money in it. I mean,
No,
you didn't make
but you
it.
were sales repping back in those days too, though. With
Well,
the big fishing
that
partners you had.
was actually before that. I think I had to think back about it, but I was a factory rep for Stuart Stevenson Sales, and we had great line. We had Bagley, Mr. Twister, and Skyline graphite rods and Rebel. I mean, we just had some killer lines. And actually, when I was doing that, we were in New Orleans. My wife was going to medical school, and and then I got out of New Orleans and started traveling a couple of states. I had the first Shimano rep. Really? I repped Shimano for Louisiana and Mississippi. And so we had some great lines. And one of the bigger things was Jim Bagley had a helicopter. And he'd say, okay, Kenny, I'm coming to Louisiana, and we're going to see 20 accounts. And we go call on them in a helicopter. So what he liked to do is he would land there right out in front of their store, and he'd give them a ride in the helicopter. And then we come back and write an order or whatever, But that was his big, and he got me up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go have a big breakfast and talk about the business and do all of that. And then we get in the helicopter and go call on accounts. Really? They're just all over the place. I said, God, I'm wore out from riding in Bagley's helicopter all the time. But he was a great old guy, and he had a fine bait line. I mean, I still catch fish on that Bangalore with a spinner on the back of it.
Yep.
Caught a 1046 on it in Bussy. Yeah,
Mm.
a couple of years ago.
You caught a really good fish in Bussy here a little while back, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't that big, 7 1/4 or so.
Yeah, that's good
I've
fish.
lost a couple here recently.
You've been getting on some fish with that LiveScope here, haven't you?
I'll try them all.
Are you?
Yeah.
He's figuring it out.
While you're doing that, I'll be crappieing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Mr. Griffin.
There you go.
Yeah.
Where are you going tomorrow?
I may go to Caney. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you started throwing at them fish with that big worm.
Bit. That's right.
Yeah. That's got to be fun.
It is.
Cover a lot of water, though, don't you, to find the fish?
I had to readjust how I had my boat set up. Put my transducer on my trolling motor instead of being on the live foot and that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I never have had a transducer, no way but on my trolling.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I love it like that.
Yeah.
The whole problem, and I've taken a lot of people to show them LiveScope. They want to get in your boat. And a lot of people on the water, they just want to step over in there. Can I get in there and watch? The whole deal is the coordination. That you got to stay on the fish and move the trolling motor with the way you're moving and stay on the fish. If he's over here and the wind's blowing you a little, you stay on the fish and you got to make that pitch all in that in sync. And a lot of people cannot get all that down.
That's right.
That's
It
the
does
problem.
take some getting used to.
Pardon?
It does take getting used to.
Yeah.
Like you said, knowing where the tip of that rod is, and you're looking down at your screen. Not saying you can't pan up a little bit, but you're looking down at your screen, and you go and you're working that foot, and you're just kind of following it around while you're looking down. It takes some getting used to.
It does, and you'll tell them, okay, there he is. Look at the trolling motor arrow. Now make your pitch straight at 20-degree cone, so it's narrow. You got to get in there, and but they'll throw like it may be there, and we're moving, and I'm turning.
Yeah.
Well, they threw over there. I said, no, he's not there. I said, now I'm moving with him. So you got, and a lot of people use the stick, and they'll get on spot lock. Well, you can do that pretty good on a bunch of crappie that's in a treetop.
Yeah.
But if you're fishing singles,
It's
it's
tough.
a whole different
you're
world.
chasing.
You're scanning back and forth and on him, and then he's moving in.
And the boat's going forward too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you've got to get in your mind too. We're looking at the numbers at the top, and that's how far he's out in front of you.
Once you get used to seeing where the fish is at, and I don't even look up at the top anymore. I just, when he gets to a certain range, I automatically know he's about where I need him, so I make the pitch. Yeah. And if I'm telling you right quick, if I see my bait hit the water, okay, if it's not going down right, I'm out of there and I'll make another.
Yeah, you don't want him to see it. You want to get it out of there.
Yep. If you don't
Bass
see
is
it,
the same way.
you got to come out.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, don't even.
And you can tell by how bright the fish is versus how bright your lure is if you're close or not.
Mm-hmm. That
Absolutely.
return.
And focusing
That's
on
right.
the fish. You may catch a dimmer part of him, so I'll move it on the fish until I hit the brightest spot. And that's my center point right there. That's when I make the pitch. Yeah.
Do you have a hunting distance with your live scope? So if you're out there and you're just hunting around for them, will you set it to 60 or 80 feet and then pull it back down?
I've played with, I've got a 34 transducer, which is the best one they have. And I've played with that, but, I still like about 45 to 50 feet on crappie. Now, on bass, I go on out to 80.
Yeah.
But on crappie, I'm at 45. I just
leave it there all the time.
Yeah.
That's what me and Richard would do a lot early this spring is we'd go out there to Darbone and like those single fish, they look like that turtle box out there floating, just huge bright returns of just one.
Oh, yeah.
Just one big fish. And that's what you'd do is I put mine on 60 or 80 feet, depending on the structure and the type of open water we were in, and we'd put it on 60 or 80 feet, and you'd find one. Yeah. You'd go to him, and you'd drop it back to 40 feet. And
let me tell you what, my lunch crew, we all plan a trip every year, a little lunch crew. I have when I'm in Monroe, I have about 4 or 5 guys. They're all fishermen and stuff. But we plan a trip to Toledo Bend in March. And what happens is that backs of all those creeks, those crappie will migrate. And they'll go into the backs of these creeks, and they'll sit out, the big females will sit out in 10, 11 foot of water, and they get on stumps, and a lot of times you'll see 6 or 8, maybe 10 on a stump. And we're taking a little road runner, and when you see that, and we're staying back off of them about 25 feet, and we'll just make a little cast and pull it over them. That is the best time of the year. That's my favorite crappie fishing right there. They will kill that road. They are aggressive, and if you just get it close to them, I mean, I've caught as high as 5 or 6, 7 off of a stump, and it's just, you just go from stump to stump out there, and it's just, they're just sitting everywhere. I mean, it's an unreal trip. If you've never done that, think about that in that month of March. And they're in all those creeks, really. Yeah. They just, all the fish that's in the lake migrating up those creeks to spawn. And it's unbelievable.
No,
of course, that's a great time
yeah.
to go bass fishing too.
Right
So
there.
it's,
need to put it on the
We're
calendar.
going. We're going to put it on the calendar.
Look, I was in Lake Providence. I think I told y'all. I told you, I know. I was in Lake Providence. It's been over a month ago. And me and my cousin, we were over there fishing. Well, they were pumping into the lake we were fishing. It's a private lake and 45, 50 acre oxbow. And it's good fishing there, don't get me wrong. But, dude, let me tell you, we've never had a day like this. We caught 76 of them son of guns in about 40 minutes.
Well, where the water was coming in, yeah.
You talking about bass or white perch?
Bass.
Bass.
But I'm talking about good bass. I ain't talking about 70 of the 76 were quarter pound, half pound. I'm talking about average one was between, probably that wasn't 2 pound average, probably 1.5 pounds or better average. But we caught multiple fives.
Good action.
Oh, dude, I was ready to be done. We got it on video. I was ready to be done. Like, you don't run across many days like that. You're out there fishing. You're like, I'm ready, because it's coming to an end pretty quick. That stuff doesn't last forever. I'm like, it'll last. It'll last 20, 30 minutes probably.
Yep.
And that's all she wrote. And this really was about what it was, 25 or 30 minutes, and that was it. But dude, it was.
Well, you guys
nuts.
gonna feed me supper? What am I gonna get to eat tonight, or what?
I am hungry.
Hey,
Talking
is Corey open tonight?
Today's Monday. It's 8:30 p.m. and Monday. Parish Restaurant is not open.
Really?
Not on Mondays.
Hey, look, we left here last time and went over there just for a few minutes, and
Looks like I'm headed to Wendy's, huh?
we ate his famous duck wraps.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
We told that gal, "Hey, look, we're not in here. We don't even need to see the menu."
Yeah. We
He
got there
told
pretty
me.
late now.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah.
We
He told me to bring a elk tenderloin down there and he'd cook it for me.
Really?
Yep.
It's
Yeah, I said. He said, "Bring me a piece of elk tenderloin and I'll cook it for you. I'll show you how to cook it." I said, "Well, the way I've been cooking it ain't bad."
I was gonna say.
his elk and his quail there. His elk is as fine as I've ever eaten, but his quail's top notch too. That elk.
He grilled it.
The elk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Does he have that so often?
Mm-mm,
Or?
very seasonal.
I got you.
Yeah.
I bet he didn't have any New Mexico open land
That's right.
elk cooked on that grill. So we'll have to go in there and do this there while he's doing it. And
That's right.
Yeah, Corey's chomping at the bit to come on. We did one of these, like I said, at the very beginning, just testing gear and trying to figure out the format and how we wanted it. But he's been wanting to come back on, and it's just, man, he's busy. That they got the new sushi restaurant that it'll be opening up here soon. It's directly across the road, and it's the building right across. So they started renovation on that 2 weeks ago. It's gonna be come February 2025. Sushi Coco, Monroe, Louisiana. It'll be popping. It'll be
look,
really
if
good.
he's closed on a Monday, I mean nobody's in the restaurant but us.
That's just us. He's probably got some
there we go.
leftovers back there in the fridge. Go find some of them elk tenderloin. I am
We'll
hungry.
set up,
Look,
yeah.
we'll wrap it. We've been running an hour and a half. We can wrap this bad boy up. And I don't care if it's Wendy's. I'll break this stuff down and we can go grab something to eat. Your boy's hungry.
Okay.
So,
Well, look, we enjoyed it again. That's 2 in a row, and we appreciate
Oh,
you.
I like doing. I like the way you do it. You know, you're sitting here comfortable and you're just talking hunting and fishing. You know, and hopefully the people that's out there that watch it or hear it, they're picking up some pointers. You know.
that's
They're
what,
getting kind of fired up too. I mean, we're in August now. I mean, it'll be September. You'll be on the mountain here pretty shortly, and so will a lot of other people. I'm sure people putting
Absolutely.
out cameras.
Absolutely.
It's getting on their mind.
Yep.
that's just what I told you a couple of days ago. We were talking about like posting and some of the stuff, like the content's getting more relative to like the outdoor stuff. I'm like, well, man, it's becoming that time. Like, like we've been in that kind of weird transition that people have fallen off, got so hot, so not as many people are fishing, and so you're not getting the flow of
It's hot.
content.
Yeah.
The flow of content's not as high. But I'm gonna tell you, I want to prop my feet up like I'm really about to kick back. But the fishing stuff, it has slowed down. But I'm gonna tell you, the hunting stuff, people's getting fired up.
Yep. It's time, guys. Y'all get in there and get your bows. You don't want to be standing in line.
Yeah.
Go get your bow tuned up and get everything together. You need to be shooting right now.
That's right.
I mean, it's
That's right.
1st
Please
of
do
August. You know, strings are
Oh,
taking
yeah.
about 2 weeks right now.
Last time we did this, they were 4 days.
You know, it's taking about 2 weeks.
Hey, look, you don't want to be that guy.
It's picked up though, hasn't it?
15th,
I
you
mean, you're
open it
getting
up.
more people.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah,
more
that's probably
people
what
in.
it is. Just nationwide, everybody's ordering strings.
Yeah, you've
It's
got
just putting them behind.
California out in that area. I mean, they're hunting right now.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Mm.
blacktail hunting and that type of stuff.
Wow.
Well, they're a little different out there.
A little.
They're a little different out there. you
That's
know?
Kenny Dice.
Well, I am excited. I'm ready. We've been talking about some of the new Hoyt stuff coming out, and I'm chomping at the bit. I'm ready to hurry up and give this bow away so I can hurry up and get a new one.
That's
There
right.
you go.
So they're
There
good.
you go.
But again, make sure that y'all check out the website. I had to think about what I was saying for a
I
second.
do that all the time.
Yeah. Had a little brain fog. Your boy's tired.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, all social media, YouTube, everything. Just go to spotteddogssportinggoods.com. You will find the link. You can click on it, take you to a little landing page, has a picture of the bow there, name, email address. That's it. Super easy.
I enjoyed it, everybody, and I wish I could take everybody in the world hunting and fishing. I really do. I enjoy it that much, and maybe we'll do something else again.
I'm sure you give us a few weeks, or at least once you get back from elk camp.
Tell
we
you a
will.
good story or two.
Yes,
we're gonna-
I'd look
But that's going to be your
forward
payment, though. Some of that backstrap you want back on. There's going to have to be an exchange of goods.
Yep, some meat.
Yeah, that's right. Give me a pack of burger. We'll be fine.
All right.
So, thank you. Y'all boys have anything?
Nope, I'm good.
No, just thank everybody for tuning in one way or the other, whether it be on YouTube or driving down the road listening to it.
Absolutely. All right, spotteddogssportinggoods.com. Free shipping on orders, $99 or more. Let's get out of here. Let's go break down and go something to eat.
Let's do that. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see y'all.